Got to get me on that sub, Tarek.
I have the list of installs. I'll get you there. He can do it, but it's not really his wheelhouse, not his expertise.
What separated the one with all their credentials versus the youngest? Like, what were the intangibles that...
There's something therapeutic about not pass-fail assessments. It's just, who are you? You know, that kind of slightly open-endedness.
Three, two, one, go.
All right. Hello. Welcome to Your Opportunity Podcast, episode 6. Today we have a special guest. His name is Tarek, and he has a very cool job, and we want to really break it down. And so, if you're a hiring manager, if you're someone who does credentialing, hiring, is looking for good people, this is the pod because we're going to get really deep. We are happy to have Tarek on. And I'm also joined by Nima, who's our co-founder, or not our co-founder, our founder, and Chris, who is our chief business officer. And I'm head of brand and product and a couple other things. So let's get going.
Yeah. Thanks, Dario. And just so everyone knows, Tarek and I went to grad school together. That's where we met.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, we had a finance class together, and he got to see the mad science up close in my past life, and we became friends.
So Tarek, tell us what you do now, because it's very interesting.
All right, yeah. So I work as a project engineer for a defense contractor. I work a lot with the U.S. Navy. My particular business area oversees a portion of the U.S. submarines, and we're always in communication with so many external organizations within the Trident program. So as a project engineer, my main focus is really schedule and execution for all of our development programs. At the moment, I oversee our second refresh of our data system for the upcoming Columbia-class submarine. I have my bachelor's from Cal Poly in computer engineering, and then as Nima said, I also have my master's in business from Cal Poly. So double grad from Cal Poly. Love my time there. Would highly recommend anyone looking to go to Cal Poly for undergrad, even master's. Great school, great program.
Agreed. And by the way, I love to see fellow Cal Poly grads winning. Amazing.
He's still loyal, Nima. He's still wearing green.
Yeah, exactly. You can't see it, but like off to the side here for like, see the CPP stuff kind of right there.
Oh, there you go.
So, so definitely giving it. Speaking of Cal Poly grads, I mean, my employer, so I work in Yorba Linda. I'm about probably 20 miles from Cal Poly. I think a good 20% of our workforce for engineering is just Cal Poly grads. Oh. So what a great engineering school. Highly recommend for anyone looking to go to university in their future. Cal Poly is a great school.
And can I just double click on that? Because I know there's many people out here that need to hear this. And I've heard it echoed in lots of high-end business quarters, which is you don't need to go to the craziest school to have an amazing career, get a great job, and just slot in and just build. Like, you don't, I think a lot of like kids, especially, they like obsess on like the 10 schools that everyone knows. And there's so many other schools, and look at all the things Nima's been able to do. He rose to the senior ranks in Hollywood as an entertainment finance guy from Cal Poly. So it's like, just go to a solid school,
Fully agree.
Go on, Nima.
If I may, Dario, this kind of leads to a little bit more of what we want to talk about here, which is in the defense contracting industry, there's a lot of credentialing. Like, we always talk about clearances, level X clearance. I don't know too much about that. I just know that there is like security clearances because of sensitive information, whether it's like a national security thing or something else. I know that a lot of the hiring in the defense industry kind of revolves around, first, you meet those credentials. So I was curious, Tarek, could you tell us a little more about kind of that?
So I'll start with clearances since you mentioned them. So clearances are things you don't really earn, so to speak. So you kind of have to qualify for it. Your company needs to put you in for a clearance. There's a lengthy review process. It could take anywhere from 6 to 8 months to over a year. I know someone that took almost 2 years for hers to get hers, just because depending on your family background, of course, they wanted to make sure it's a national security threat. So if you do have, unfortunately, international families, it does kind of take a bit longer. That's just the reality of it. It doesn't mean you automatically disqualify. So my background is Lebanese. Both of my parents were born and raised in Lebanon. Of course, it does raise some questions on your application for a clearance, but as long as you show credibility and allegiance to the United States, there's no problem getting it. So I got mine earlier this year. Took about a year because partially government shutdown kind of slowed the ball on some of those things, but it does play a role. But again, it's not something you really earn, so to speak. It doesn't affect your ability to do the job in terms of your personal abilities. It's just you have been signed off by the U.S. government. You are, allegiant to the United States, and you'll be able to handle this information without risking national security. That's really all it gives you. So it's a leg up to have it, but it's not something you as a person really earn, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. And it's interesting we talk about national security because again, obviously we can't go too deep into this for obvious reasons. But I imagine it's like defense contractor has future plans things in their pipeline, let's say, and that's the kind of thing that needs to be protected effectively.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Correct. Yep.
Well, he's literally dealing with like the nitty gritty of submarine mechanics and stuff. So that's all very tightly guarded.
Yeah.
Now,
Sorry. I
go
want to
on.
ask a question. Tarek, I have to ask. Nuclear submarines or different kinds of submarines?
Nuclear submarines. If you look up Columbia class, it is the nuclear submarine.
Okay, so I actually learned this like maybe a year or two ago. I think actually I learned this when we were in grad school, is that nuclear submarines have a reactor in them that powers them,
So,
and they can effectively. Sorry, go ahead. Actually, I'll let you.
no, so you're on the right track, but I want to separate two things.
Okay.
So a lot of the modern submarines, whether it's nuclear or not, all have a nuclear core.
Okay.
So if you look at the different types of submarine that exist for the U.S. Navy, all of them nowadays have a nuclear core to power them. But then there's a certain class, which again, if you look up Columbia or the predecessor, which is currently still active, the Ohio class, those are nuclear armed. So there's the difference of them.
Yeah.
So it's nuclear times 2, let's call it.
Yeah.
Some
It's
are
like
nuclear
locked
too,
down, and so they want to make sure everything is kind of locked behind a door. Like when I go to work, I have to scan in once through my badge to get in the front door, a second badge to get in the second door, and then where my workspace is upstairs, I have a third badge and a keypad to get in.
Wow.
So they really like,
I thought this
yeah.
was movies, bro.
And this is technically not even like a classified environment where you have to put all your devices away. So
Right.
that's a whole other layer of security. Within our area, we have another classified sector. So there's just layers of security on security. A lot of training.
Tarek, I literally went and did a speaking engagement for, let's just say, a defense contractor. And I'm coming in with my laptop, right? And they're like, no. I go, well, no, my presentation. They go, you can't bring in a laptop. You can't bring in your cell phone, right?
Yeah.
And so I ended up, we got it all worked out. But it was just one of those things where me, as a civilian, right,
Yep.
I had to be cleared through for that process and put the personal devices away. So I got a smidgen of an idea of what you deal with. I can't imagine
every
4
day.
badges
Yeah, you
and
live
a
it every day.
keypad.
You got a bad swipe. So I was like, okay, enough with this.
So it's crazy. So the obvious question and sort of most relevant to what we do, which is we create, hiring software, is what is your, lived experience with credentials versus someone's actual ability to succeed in a role? And is there mismatch? And just kind of get into that. What actually matters in your environment if that indicates someone can actually succeed at what they have to do?
So I'll kind of take a step back and look at an interview that I did this past week, actually.
Perfect.
Sweet.
So this person, 20, 25 years experience on paper. They have all the credentials. They have all the knowledge you would want. They led teams. They were a manager. They handled, contract values in the millions. They have the clearance, of course. Like on paper, again, it's almost a perfect resume.
Yeah.
Now, I had some issues with the resume, but that's besides the point. The resume mentions some certifications, and I'll kind of list a few of them. PMP, Program Management Professional, Project Management, excuse me.
Yeah.
They had Six Sigma training.
Okay.
They had their CISSP, which if you're in cybersecurity, that's the big cybersecurity certification. So again, on paper, they had all the right things. MBA from USC, like you mentioned, the big school, right? Like they had top 10 MBA. But then we interviewed them and we kind of felt this is not what we wanted for a hiring. This is not the person we thought they were going to be. So when we did the interview, we asked them questions. You could tell they know the buzzwords. Like if I tell Nima about, a balance sheet, I'm sure you can give me, what each item is down the line. But if I ask a question, if the top dollar is this, how does it affect the below and the inner workings of everything? If you can't answer that, I don't care what certification you have, you can't do the job.
Yeah.
And so I'll take it now to the other end. This past week, again, I interviewed another person for the same role, but they're at the other end of their career, beginning, probably within 3 or 4 years experience, applying for nearly the same role. Didn't have any credentials besides their bachelor's, and they just finished their master's. we thought they would be a much better fit than the person who had all the credentials. Granted, sure, he may not know as much. We felt like we have to train him a little bit, and that's okay. That comes with the experience. It just takes time. I mean, you can't hold that against anybody. But credentials or not, why would we hire that other person when we have this other guy
Well,
who was?
Tariq, I'm going to tell you, buddy, kudos to you
Mhm.
because many people and corporations would go and chase after those credentials
Mhm.
as opposed to really taking the opportunity to get to know someone to
Mhm.
identify if they can do the job,
Mhm.
and that's huge because, to me, I think it's a win-win. Not only are you all finding someone that you'll have to train and you'll have to mentor a little bit, but my goodness, they're going to always remember you gave them that chance.
Yes. And I think it speaks volumes because we can see in his personality, he wants to learn, he wants to grow.
Right.
You can see that drive in him. He may not be with us for 20, 30 years, but
That's
fine.
right.
As long as we can get him for 5, 6 years, become, a better project manager, a better project engineer,
That's
well, great.
awesome.
We got our job out of it. Part
Right.
of his employer is to develop people.
Yeah,
I mean, that's a
100%.
huge. He'll get his certs along the way. He'll get probably a PMP in the next 3, 4 years, but that just adds to his name, but it doesn't build his name, if that makes sense.
100%.
Tariq, what do you think? What separated the one with all their credentials versus the youngest person? Like, what were the intangibles that
Yeah.
other people out there listening can
Yeah.
go,
Great
oh,
question,
okay,
Chris.
I need to bring
Yeah.
this to the table when I'm interviewing?
Enthusiasm is a big part of it.
Okay.
Confidence, even though
Yeah.
you don't know the thing, like know that you're not an expert in the field just yet. The fact that I know what I know and I know what I don't know is the other part of it.
Yes.
Very
Because some people, obviously, for example, I'm still a little early in my career. I can't compete with someone with 30 years experience. That's just experience. It comes with age. But if you have the drive and at least hey, I don't recognize this just yet. I need to do more training, get the certification, or take the time to study more. That'll give me that leg up in an interview where I can speak to it and say, hey, here's my gaps. Here's how I'm filling it, though. And I think having that connection really helps.
That's good. Thank you. Thank you.
Kind of tying it back to what we do, and Nima,
Yeah.
my product brain turned on when I'm
Please.
hearing you talk.
Please.
Is we have our software generates assessment questions, and they're very specific to whatever field you want it to be. But you have a whole box as a user of this to load it with specific cultural items and specific things that your company or team needs. Sounds like what Tarek would put is is humble, knows what they know and what they don't know, is not unwilling to ask questions.
Yeah.
Right. Like these are things Tarek could have, theoretically loaded in, if he was using our assessments. But that's that. I'm just saying that as a broad example of kind of how to work with, our tool and kind of the general principles here.
Yeah. If I may jump in, talk about our tool, right? I think our tool, what it could have done here, had it been used for this, is it would have given both the candidate with the credentials and extensive experience and the candidate with the earlier on in their career the same stage to be able to express how they'd approach the role. And I think, I don't want this to come out the wrong way, it could have saved some time for everyone involved because I think if certain people went through it and felt like, okay, this is a law or I don't necessarily want to do this, they would have been able to say, okay, maybe this isn't the right path. I don't want to say it's like a continuing escalation of commitment, but it's kind of a continuing escalation of commitment because you're going to work together. And as you go through these stages, it makes sense to really know, like, do I really want to do this? It's one of those questions of asking, do I really want to do this? And I think with our assessments, kind of to Dario's point, we can kind of help the candidates have the stage to really express themselves and say to themselves, maybe I don't want to do this. I also want to loop back to the differences.
Or just, I don't know this,
Yeah.
maybe I do want to do this, but I just don't have knowledge of this. One of the assessment questions you could stipulate is, what do you not know that you think is relevant to this job? And you could literally have them write a whole paragraph or more about what they don't know. And you could rate their attitude, and our system would do that as well, just automatically. What their attitude and like level of humble and level of learning, is.
Yeah. To Dario's point, that's the custom questions and the full customization features we have too.
Yeah.
You can completely customize this assessment to really kind of like get into that.
So
Yes, sir.
are you able to, for example, like let's say you want to ask a pure definition question, like what is this formula? What if, you say, hey, how confident are you in this? Like, this, particular thing. So I'll use an example. In the interview, one thing that project engineers and really project managers need to know, it's a very buzzwordy term, it's critical path.
Okay.
I'm not gonna get into what it is, but it's a very like schedule heavy term. Like it's probably the most important metric you could argue.
Okay.
It's a simple definition as to what it is. We kind of asked the second person in the interview who was a little less experienced. He didn't really give us the right answer. You can kind of tell like he wasn't most familiar with it just yet. But of course, some of the other intangibles maybe help make up for it. But I think in your assessment, you could say, how confident are you? You know what this is.
Yeah.
1 to 10. And then below it, okay, what is it?
Mhm.
That way we can get an idea of how much they think they know versus what they actually know. Now, if they put a
Absolutely.
10 and they get it perfectly right, then you're good.
Yeah.
But if they put, I have a 10 and they get it completely wrong,
Yeah.
Our assessments are called SMART assessments. So they're meant to be able to be steered and directed for explicitly what you need to know from the people that you're bringing in. It's, you know,
and it's what you need to know, but it's also, can this person do the job and the culture
Yep.
we have?
The-
Right.
yeah, in the culture we
move.
have. That's the
Yeah.
key part.
Yeah. the
Dario,
culture.
I'm gonna get you some decaf, bro. All right, you are popped up, bro. I mean, you really are. I love the energy, but you're right. Can they do the job in the culture that we have? Can they keep up pace with us? You know, how well will they work with the other team? Tarek, you said drive, and I want you to know, buddy, I used to, in my former hiring days, back when I had a mortgage business, I used the acronym DRIVE. That's what I was looking for when I was looking to hire. The D stood for determination. The R was for resilience. The I was for intellect. The V was for vivaciousness. I wanted lively people, right?
Yeah.
And the E was for enthusiasm. And that was one of the things you talked about. So yes, brother, we're on the same page.
Amen.
Man.
I see.
Yeah. Tarek, this is really interesting. I kind of want to like loop back to something interesting too. I feel like sometimes people, when they think I'm fit to a job, they think I could do this job, but that doesn't necessarily mean they can do this job.
Right.
So let me give you an example. I was a senior finance person in my past life. When Tarek and I met, I was a senior finance person.
Yep.
And I could do a lot of senior finance jobs. Does that mean I can do them? For example, if I walk into an environment where it's like excruciating levels of granularity, I'm not your guy. I'm sorry. I'm a 20,000 foot kind of guy. I'm not a 10-foot kind of guy. I can be at 10 feet for a little bit, but if you keep me down there, I'm gonna lose my mind. Yeah, keep me at 20,000 feet. So it's one of those things where it's like, and I think that's maybe this might be a broader kind of job market thing, but I think because certain opportunities are out there and they attract a lot of candidates or people looking for work, sometimes people are just like, oh, I'll just do this job. But they're not thinking like, okay, I'm like,
Should.
yeah, it should. And like I think of this too a lot. Like I, as a senior finance person, if you bring me into an organization, I can help you figure out your cash flow forecast. I can make all these models. I can help you figure out how to invest your capital better. I could certainly do accounting and general ledger close and those things, but that might not be the most value add activity I could do for the organization. And I think that sometimes that gets lost in the hiring process also.
Mhm.
And I think
Yeah.
that maybe, sorry, I think that's kind of also just by virtue of the hiring process itself, because it becomes very much a spray and pray kind of game where you don't really get to differentiate yourself or really express yourself. And so you can't really show like, hey, this is the real value I can bring to your organization, which is ultimately what the employee-employer exchange really is. I give you value, you give me pay.
Right. No, we had so back up, let's say a month from today. So
Yeah.
I had an engineer, a field engineer who wants to travel a lot more for so Nima, you and I talked about this before the podcast formally started, where I changed locations for my my position at my current company. So I had an engineer who was also part of that, layoff kind of situation. And he was a field engineer, which a field engineer, again, they know the system, the hardware, but they travel more than they are in the office typically.
Mhm.
So his expertise was going around the world. I mean, he's been to all different countries. I'm sure he has plenty of stories to share. But of course, him being in Southern California, this office is still local to him. Maybe has to move out for, but it's still within reason to move to. So we actually hired him on. We interviewed him, and the hiring team over there liked him, and so they brought him on. But as a systems engineer, now a systems engineering role is a very broad role. It can cover a lot of different facets depending on every company is a little different. But in our case, system engineer is pretty much straightforward. You kind of own the system. You go over requirements, validation, testing from start to finish. Now, he can do it, but it's not really his wheelhouse, not his expertise. So I think to your point, sure, he can get some value for us, but I don't know if it's his most value.
Right.
But at the same time, the other facet to look at is, do you put him in a stretched role where, hey, you do this really well, but I think you could do this as well. Could you maybe bridge the gap a little bit? And I think stretch projects, if you're really trying to build a team, are very important.
Yeah.
And so looking at myself, again, backing up, I don't want to get too personal and too self-centered here, but back up a couple of years ago, when I first became, project engineer for my company, of course, I was still fairly fresh out of college and had a little bit of engineering experience, but nothing crazy. Due to some turnover and some kind of internal politics, I ended up getting a role probably a little too big for what I was expected to get. I mean, the contract values that I was dealing with before were in the few $1 million range. Now I was getting a project closer to $30 million, which is a little bit in the middle, but it's a big jump, right? The scope of it is much larger.
Nice.
But my boss and the team around her thought that, hey, he could possibly do it.
Yeah.
And they put me on it. And sure, there were some big learning curves. A lot of things I had to get used to and learn. That took probably 6-8 months to kind of ramp up and really build some confidence as well. But by the time I got to that year mark, I could do this.
Yeah.
But hey, it takes time though. And I think that's part of the stretch in there where it's.
Dude, I love hearing that. I love hearing that because you obviously showed something in you, right? That gave them the courage to give you that opportunity. But at the same time, I can see it. You said it took 6 to 8 months to get in the group. I guarantee you, Tarek, you were going to ask questions. You had some check-ins and some checkups, right? And there was some dialogue. You were being coached.
Yeah. I had a weekly one-on-ones with my manager. I'm like, okay, I got the keys to the ship. Help me not sink it.
Help me not sink it.
She has 20 years experience. She knows what she's doing. She could run it herself, but she has other things to do.
Yeah.
And so, hey, you're in charge now. Figure it out more or less. Now, of course, behind every success story, there is someone mentoring or supporting. There is something. It's not just you by yourself. I think it's important to learn. So even though I succeeded, sure, but I had an army of people behind me helping me out.
Yeah. Brother, it takes a village.
I'm going to steal that. Help me not sink it. Here's the keys. Help me not sink it. We got to use that.
That's good. That's a lot of good stuff in this show, guys.
Yeah.
And the stretch roles. I love the aspect.
Yeah, I never heard that term.
I've never heard that term before, Tarek. I love that. And I think more companies should adopt that mentality.
And I think it goes to that show that like companies, if they want to really grow their talent, they have to do that. Because you could hire externally all the time, but it takes time to hire people. You may not find the right person. And if you have a team of people who may be the right fit, spend some time developing them. I mean, internally at my company, before some kind of reorgs, we had this internal certification that went from very low level, kind of you own this piece of the project, you're responsible for small amounts of dollars and tasks, all the way to program manager, you're owning millions of dollars of stuff. Wow. And they give you small steps along the way. And as long as you request it and your team has the room for it, because training is kind of an overhead, it's not really directly charged to a customer or anything like that. They'll let you take it. It's probably 20 hours of training, some live courses with actual instructors, some assessments. And of course, it's all internal certs, but it still does help. It shows that, hey, this person at least went through the basics of the training. Now let's give them the role they could possibly do. Yeah. So they help us build us along the way to go from, again, new level, entry level, to someone that can succeed in a higher role and actually handle a full program.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing. I love that. I love that so much. One of the things that I noticed in my career so many times was if talent walks out the door, the brain drain and institutional knowledge that goes is So talking about our point with culture, where you work clear has a very strong culture of promote from within, develop from within, invest in your people, which is great. And so tying back to our assessments too, you can kind of say like certain elements of an individual's personality that would kind of reflect with that. You could say a strong candidate would be, let's say, a self-starter as an example, or would be interested in self-development, things of that sort.
Willing to learn,
Kinds of things. And then you kind of have the assessment kind of geared towards that culture fit also. So we can kind of make the recommendation based on that.
Yeah, we're basically just trying to build a platform to help kind of companies and organizations have that connective tissue within itself. Like I said, our tool are called smart assessments. So whatever you need assessed, you can tailor it in that direction. So that there's just more flow, more, everything you said it better than I could. Yeah.
Thank you. But yeah, it's really cool, man. It's really cool. And it's crazy to think post grad school, Tarek and I are out here crushing it in different ways. I love to see it. Dude, I love to see it, honestly. That's one of my favorite things about Cal Poly is when I meet a successful Cal Poly alum. It makes me so happy.
And sometimes they come up out of nowhere. Like I had a senior manager, almost director at my current company. He's class of '88 from university. Would have never thought.
Wow, that's amazing, dude. It's absolutely amazing. And there's a lot of Cal Poly alum who've supported our business, so thank you to all of you. Truly appreciate it. And Tarek, you might appreciate this. I'm on the alumni board of the
Are you?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
I will get on that. I should join.
I'll ask them. Honestly, I'll ask them. I'm sure they'd love to have you on, man.
Listen, as much as we've said that school name, Cal Poly, they better be using y'all.
Yeah, we can send the link.
I'm gonna tell you right now, get the president on the phone.
Dude, we've been working
Both of you, call him right now.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
So it's a united effort.
I didn't even go there, and I'm wearing green.
There you go. It's friends. It's infectious.
I didn't go there, and I love green.
Yeah. Right.
What? I'm in, man.
Green hydro flask.
That's right, baby.
Man. Oh man, that's funny. All right, so we got 10 minutes. We can open it up too. We don't just have to talk about the career things. We can talk about a little more broadly things. We were talking about credentialing earlier. I'm kind of curious, Tarek. We've had an episode before where we talked about, do you need an education to succeed in America? You have a bachelor's degree and you have a master's degree as well. What's kind of your take? Do you think that you need to go to that level to succeed in America?
To get a master's and bachelor's?
Yeah, must you in order to have a successful life, let's say, however that's defined to the individual.
Obviously, ignoring the specialized degrees like medicine or law or like the high-end ones that maybe require some special education.
Yeah.
I think nowadays there's so much information online. You can probably get away without a formal college degree. But the reason I'd still advocate for some people, not everybody, because not everybody's booked for college, I think them going to a trade or more hands-on work fits their skill set naturally better. But for those, let's say, more the average person, I think a college degree probably still is worth it. Don't kill yourself over debt to get into it. But I think it's worth it. The reason being is because at the end of the 4 years, at least you can say, I accomplished this. I did this in my time. My camera zoomed in for some reason. I don't know why.
Your camera's like, he's spitting facts.
Yeah.
Is he on a sub right now? Is he moving? Okay.
And so it at least gives some employers some legitimacy to your name.
Yeah.
That, hey, they at least accomplished something in their life.
Yeah.
Now, take it a step further, a master's, if you really want to grow in the career in your organization, I think it is worth it. Again, don't spend $100,000 on a degree that you may not really love. Don't get it just to get it. Only do it if you either A, want to really specialize in a field, or B, maybe pivot careers a little bit. If you did something that's a little more general, like for example, I did engineering undergrad, business masters. That's kind of just a small pivot out of the pure engineering work. Because I could have gone for, let's just software engineering masters or engineering management. I kept it more general with business to give myself flexibility in my career.
Yeah.
And then taking a step further for certifications, because that's what this podcast really is about. I think certs are great. They get your foot in the door, but they don't make you walk through the door, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So on a resume, it helps. Hey, okay, he has a PMP, he has a CISSP. Okay, let's look at this person more. But then when it gets to the interview, if you fall on your face, the cert's not going to help you there. You still have to know your stuff. The cert kind of gets the credibility, but it doesn't make you.
Yeah.
And that's where the art of hiring comes into play,
Yes.
Yeah. Hiring, qualifying, yeah.
Right. And it's, I guess, going back to the, your opportunity where you could give those assessments. If someone has, I'm going to use PMP because that's what I have. Okay, according to the PMP, you should know these 5 or 6 subject areas. I'm going to tailor my assessment to be across these 5 or 6 areas. And if you don't pass it, then what does the cert tell you? Because sure, you can kind of game a cert, study for a little bit, cram it, and take an exam and pass. But I think the experience will really build you. The credibility, the cert kind of adds to your name and gives you a little more credibility. But it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to do the job correctly or you're going to be the right person for the job.
And what's cool about how we do it is it's not a pass fail, but it's just a sliding scale. It's a percentage. So It does leave room for someone who got a 75 on the assessment, but then shines in every other capacity.
Right.
It's not just, oh, you failed, So again, we're trying to be like soft tissue. We're within organizations. That's actually a really good metaphor.
I think it's because people themselves are fluid. They're not rigid the same way you would expect things. Yeah. Sure, you may succeed here, you may fail there. as long as I can put you in places you're going to succeed, I think that's the ultimate tool for a hiring manager. Now, if you fail across the board, all right, probably not the right fit.
Right.
But if there are bright spots in your abilities, in your skill set, okay, do you have enough for me to build off of? And so that's, I think, really where this, assessment comes into play, where can I highlight enough of those things in this role? Now, if you shine in, I'm going to say project management, but I'm hiring a finance person, doesn't really fit. Why do I need you? Not to be mean, but like what value do you bring to me? But if I need a project manager and you excel in project management, risk analysis, earn value, these things, okay, great, you're a perfect fit. Let me hire you.
Makes sense. I think, go ahead, Dario.
Well, I was going to say what we find in the way that we kind of format things is people will spend 15 or 30 minutes doing our assessments, and it's like it's slightly therapeutic because the questions are friendly and you can just load your entire brain into them. And so it becomes an effort gate as well from the point of view of people hiring. It becomes like, oh, this person put a lot of effort into this. They want this. Yeah. There's something therapeutic about not pass fail assessments. It's just, who are you? That kind of slightly open-endedness is actually, it pulls people in. So, but you really know your shit, Tarek. I'm impressed with you, by the way. Yeah.
Dude, this guy's legit as legit can get. I'm honored.
It sounds like it.
I'm honored.
Nima, you're the one who has a whole business now. So like, come on. Yourself.
Tarek, I was on my way in finance. I was like, I need to do something about this. I love writing resumes for people. I love helping people with their careers. I was like, I have to do something about this. Like, it's just wrong that people are locked out of opportunity.
I agree.
I was like, I have
many times where I think just the whole resume filter nowadays, where I've applied to a role, you tweak up your resume as best you can, you put through some AI tool, it's going to do good. And the next day, denied. It's like, okay, I didn't even get a chance.
Yeah. Right.
So I think sometimes, of course, getting past that first layer, getting to an assessment may help you stand out more. Of course, some roles may get thousands of applicants if you're at a big tech company versus little smaller ones may only get a handful. So, but it's just kind of demoralizing nowadays where sometimes you get auto-denied for a role you may have been perfect for.
I agree. And I'll tell you this, we are designed for those companies looking to hire lots of people.
Yes.
Because being able to go in and do the assessment, now it's going to give you an opportunity to get to know that candidate before you've ever spent any time, really, right? You didn't spend a person interviewing them. You didn't call and all of this. You've got an opportunity to use Yawk as that assessment to really get to know, to filter, to figure out, hey, we got thousands of applicants, but now this 100 is where we're going to focus our energy.
Yeah, a lot of our clients use us as a first layer. They just stick us right into LinkedIn. It's just LinkedIn straight into us. Really? And it's literally like a pipe filter for the crap that comes through LinkedIn. But there's also good people too,
Right. Absolutely.
Can I double click on the crap real quick? I found this out recently. There is so much fraud in inbound applications for organizations. It's unbelievable. And we're not talking fraud like resume embellishment. I'm talking fraud like someone's a hacker from a state government that's maybe adversarial to the United States. Like that level of fraud.
Oh.
Yeah. We should talk about that maybe on the next podcast.
We have like 45 seconds, just FYI.
Yeah. Tarek, dude, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for supporting
me for having me.
As I've been building it, man. It means the world to me. And I'll see you next time you're in New York.
Yeah, buddy. Good to meet you.
Nice meeting you, and thank you for your service.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Got to get me on that sub, Tarek.
I have the list of installs. I'll get you there.